Okay, welcome back to another episode of Third and 23. I'm your host, Alex, here to bring you another quarterfinal pick and prediction video for the CFP. We're talking Sugar Bowl, Georgia versus Ole Miss. Georgia comes to this game as a 6-point favorite. This is a rematch of a game they had around midseason this year, which I believe Georgia was also a 6-point favorite in that one. It's a game we did on video. So Georgia laid the points. Did not think we were going to get that in that first matchup. Ole Miss is up 35-26 late third. Georgia outscores them 17-0 in the fourth quarter to win that game 43-35. Both these teams went 12-1. Georgia's here because they won the SEC. Ole Miss at large bid with their only loss being to the Georgia Bulldogs. So let's go ahead and get into the matchup analyses of these two teams. First, looking at Georgia's offense versus Ole Miss's defense. Georgia led by quarterback Gunnar Stockton. He's been great all season, both running and throwing, a dual threat. 70% completion percentage. He has an elite EPA under pressure, so he's got legs. So it's when the pocket breaks down, he can make some ad-lib type plays and find some open receivers down the field. He has a low average depth of target, though. If you watch Georgia, you guys know he's not really going over the top. There's not a lot of over-the-top plays this season for the Georgia Bulldog passing game. It's more intermediate to keep balance with a very strong running game. How does Ole Miss's defense counter Gunnar Stockton? In that first game, Gunnar Stockton went, I believe, 26 for 31, 289, 4 touchdowns, a 9.3 YPA, a 97 QBR. So Gunnar Stockton went to work against this Ole Miss defense the first time around. And they were a strong defense by the numbers in terms of pass defense, top 20 in completion percentage and yards per attempt allowed. So that was an outlier game, right? Efficiency metrics are top 40 across the board. So was that just a one-off? It was Gunnar Stockton was on a heater, or is this Ole Miss defense, pass defense, a little overrated? One of the things that Pete Golding, new head coach, right? He was a defensive coordinator. Now he's the head coach. One of the things Pete Golding needs to do is get some pressure on Gunnar Stockton. Pass rush rate allowed for Georgia's 8th in the country, 24.9%. So this is one of the top pass protecting lines this season, and part of it is also Gunnar Stockton's legs keeping plays alive, right? He can take off running. Gunnar Stockton had 59 yards rushing and a touchdown in this game as well in the first time around. Ole Miss, their pass rush, 42nd in pressure rate, 72nd in sack rate. Has anything changed? Has Pete Golding been able to change anything from midseason to now to be able to get some more pressure on Gunnar Stockton, get him off schedule, speed up the Georgia passing game to a point that it doesn't want to be at? And then finally, rushing attack. I mentioned Gunnar Stockton's legs in that first game, but really they ran for 200 in that first game. Georgia ran for 221 yards at 4.5 yards per carry. Point this out: Georgia's longest run was 22 yards, which was a broken play from Gunnar Stockton. So that means if your longest run is 22 yards and you ran for 221, that means you're constantly owning the line of scrimmage. They were constantly owning the line of scrimmage against Ole Miss, bloodying them up, hitting them in the mouth for 4 quarters. The point is that Georgia had 500 yards of offense in this game the first time around. Ole Miss's run defense metrics, that wasn't an outlier. They're 86th in EPA per attempt allowed, 5.2 yards per carry allowed, 107th in explosive running plays allowed. All sorts of teams have run the ball against. Tulane ran the ball against Ole Miss in the first game for 180. In the first round game of the CFP, Tulane's running back went 15 for 86. Doesn't seem like a big number. That's because they're down a lot. I'm just pointing out that everybody's been able to run the ball against the running Rebels this season. So now let's look at the flip side of that. Take a look at Ole Miss's offense against Georgia's defense. So Ole Miss, they're really a two-headed monster offensively, and it's that backfield. Quarterback Trinidad Chambliss, I thought he should have been a Heisman finalist, not the Heisman winner, but a Heisman finalist. And running back Kewan Lacey, who's ran for 1,300 yards this season and 21 touchdowns. So this offense is really led by them. We know Lane Kiffin, he's gone, but the offensive assistant coaches are still around, so they still got that continuity offensively. And this is an explosive offense. Chambliss, he's been efficient, explosive heavy, top 10 in explosive percentages this season. And like Gunnar Stockton, a mobile quarterback who has a strong EPA under pressure, so he can make some ad hoc, ad-lib plays under pressure as well. The only difference is Georgia's probably not going to put him under pressure, right? This is an uncharacteristic year for the Georgia defense. Sack rate, 10.3%. That is 105th nationally. Pressure rate, 33.7%. If you watch Georgia, you guys know it's been a thing all season. Georgia can't get pressure on the quarterback. And Trinidad Chambliss, whether you get pressure on him or not, he's going to be able to hit some big chunk plays against this Georgia defense. 48th in explosives allowed, 40th in success rate. That's just, Chambliss, he's got a bevy of wide receivers to throw the ball to. He also has 500 yards rushing this season, and he ran for 42 in the first matchup as well. So I think you're going to see some dual threat explosiveness out of Chambliss in this game as well. So you're going to see that, I think, from both quarterbacks. And then finally, the Georgia defensive front. This is where they make their hay defensively. It's an elite run defense. This is probably the best unit on the field for the Georgia Bulldogs is their run defense. They're top ranked in most metrics. They're second nationally in yards per game allowed on the ground. Ole Miss, though, led Lacey, had 1,300 yards. But as a team, 41st in success rate. That's not that great. And then in the first game against Georgia, against a legit run defense, not to say Kewan Lacey can't play, but he was 12 for 31 in the first meeting, and they completely shut this Ole Miss running game down cold. So are there going to be some adjustments made on that end? Is Ole Miss going to be able to run the ball, get some balance for Trinidad Chambliss? As I think he's going to find some holes in that Georgia secondary and hit some plays through the air. So finally now, how do I think this game is going to play out? What's my prediction? All right, so Georgia won the first game 43-35. They dominated that fourth quarter 17-0. In that fourth quarter, Trinidad Chambliss was 1 for 10 for 1 yard passing. And they just had, I believe, finished with 3 and outs. So they couldn't get anything going offensively. In this game, Lane Kiffin is out the door. Pete Golding is the head coach now. Is he going to should be a respected defensive mind. He's coaching the Saban, coaching the Kirby Smart. He knows Kirby Smart. He should be able to make some adjustments defensively, you would think. The thing with me is, Ole Miss was number 1 in the country against the run in 2024. In 2025, they're bottom tier run defense. So I'm starting to question your coaching chops defensively. If you were number 1 and you lost all those guys left, okay, so you're going to take a step back. But a step all the way back down the toilet, now I'm wondering. So now it has me wondering if Pete Golding was the head coach at the beginning of the season. Is Ole Miss in this game? Is Ole Miss 12-1 playing in the quarterfinal round against Georgia in the college football playoff? Now I'm wondering about that too. So I see Ole Miss sliding with some questions around them, right? Georgia ascending with their best unit on the field, their run defense, should be able to completely shut down Ole Miss cold. They did it the first time. I expect them to do it the second time. I don't think Ole Miss is going to have any kind of balance in this one. I think Chambliss might hit some plays through the air, but he's not going to keep pinging them over the top with huge play after huge play after huge play. I don't think Ole Miss is getting anywhere close to 35 this time around. I don't think this game is going to be as competitive as it was the first time around. I think Georgia's going to stop these guys cold defensively with their run game defensively. And I think Gunnar Stockton and that running game is going to do whatever they want. Give me Georgia. I'm going to lay the 6. I don't think this game is going to be that close. So anyways, that wraps it up. If you like the content, please like, comment, subscribe, all of that, as you're going to see more pick and prediction videos going forward. Take care.